Hello YNABers, my name is Jesse Meekum from YNAB. It stands for You Need a Budget. Welcome to another Whiteboard Wednesday. You know when you go to the mall, you don't go there because what a waste of money, right? Just kidding, not kidding. But you go to the mall and you have this directory and it says you are here. And this is just a public service announcement that your expenses, maybe, look something like this. Pretty even. And then you get to December and you have a huge spike. Now I know some of you in the comments are going to brag that your expenses don't spike in December because you start your Christmas shopping in April. And it's just super gradual and that's fancy. And you probably make them all by hand and they're super thoughtful. But for the rest of us, 98% of us, it all happens right here. It's actually a little tighter climb and a bit of a more steep, a little steeper descent, because it's like the 23rd or so when the outflows really pick up. But you are here right now, and if you don't have money set aside for Christmas yet, because maybe you just found YNAB today, or maybe you found it back in January and you let the willpower fade, and we know willpower doesn't work, tiny habits do. And so then you actually started in April and then fizzled, and then you started in July and then fizzled, and then here we are in October, and you're now serious about it. So however you've come to YNAB, however you've come to this video, you got to look at what you have set aside for the holidays, and you want to make sure you're looking at increased travel, increased food, gifts, donations, Christmas parties, whatever it is that's just normal with the holidays, and kind of include that all in your calculation for what you'd like to spend for the holidays. There are two ways you can approach this. One is you can just say, hey, welcome to reality. We're just going to lop off some of those expenses and just do less, spend less. That's viable. It's a really good idea, actually. If you don't have the money, you shouldn't spend the money, right? Sound. So you can do that, and I think that's great. I think that's a fantastic idea. So entertain that. Don't just dismiss it. It's like, oh, this woe is me attitude. Like, oh, if we would have had this knowledge before, if we would have been saving, if the car hadn't broken down, whatever these ifs might have been, you could just say, hey, let's be a little more creative this year. Let's cut back on the expenditures this year. Let's just deal with a little bit of a tighter reality. It's reality. It's no big deal. Spend a lot of time with your kids, with your family, do things that are meaningful, make memories. It doesn't cost a lot of money. So don't fall for the idea that this has to be expensive, right? Now, if you want to still save the money, you want to spend the money, and you've decided what's most important to you as far as your Christmas expenditures go, then what do you do when you're sitting in October and you only have October, November, December until the 23rd to get that money all scraped together? Well, what you do is you put aside what you can. Period. I know this is mind-blowing, but you just put aside what you can. And people will say, well, I don't know how much we're going to spend. Well, yes, you do. You just decide how much you're going to spend. This is not like a car repair where you don't know how much the repair will cost. You know how much the holidays will cost. You decide. So if it's a lot or a little, you've made the decision. And if you don't make that decision, you've made the decision to ignore it. Either way, you're making a decision. So you decide what you're going to spend. Now you know how much. Then you have to look and say, well, how much can we actually allocate? And if we're sitting here in October, we basically have October, November, and December. And you're just going to say, I'm going to do easy math. So you say, I'm going to spend $600. So we're going to break it down. Just divide that by 3. We're going to do 200 for all 3 months. Okay? Easy enough. You say, Jesse, I can't just come up with $200. That's legitimate. So you say, yeah, that's not possible. You could just adjust this down to 300 because I like easy math. You're going to do 100 a month. This is easy math. I'm doing it in my head, right? Say, Jesse, that's not possible. I can even do math like this. Say, oh, we're only going to spend $150 on Christmas. I'm doing easy math, right? So that's $50 per month. This is not to demonstrate how to divide by 3. This is to demonstrate the thinking that must be involved, where you're saying, we don't have anything saved, and we got to save something. And we also, maybe, from kind of both sides, we need to save more, we need to spend less, to be able to hit our Christmas goal. Next year, of course, you'll be able to say, oh, I can put together $50 a month and you'll get that $600 for Christmas, whatever it may be. But in this instant, you got to save more and spend less. So you're going to say, well, whatever we can save, we're going to set it aside. Maybe you look to other categories and say, what could we give up for the next 3 months to fund Christmas? That might be the case. That might be the norm for what you've been dealing with so far already, where you kind of steal from all this other stuff in order to do Christmas. The only thing that's not allowed, absolutely not allowed, is to ruin the merriness of Christmas and all the holidays and the joy and the family time and the memories by doing a credit card. That is not allowed. You ruin it when you do it that way, because then you're spending money for Christmas that was in 2011, and there's nothing merry about that. So I know the math wasn't crazy, the idea isn't crazy, save more, spend less, but it's worth saying. This is the reality I'm not going to say you've been dealt, this is the reality you're in. And it's up to you to decide what you want to do with it. So you're going to be making a decision either way. Just decide, here's what we're going to spend, here's what we can do, here's where the money will come from, and just plow forward. Next year, you'll reassess, and you'll have the whole year to save, instead of just being right there. Hope this helps. I wish I could just wave my hand and everyone's Christmas categories were full, but I can't do that yet. That feature is forthcoming. I will see you guys next week.